welcome back to the RationalInvestor.com's Weekend Frivolity. La 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 la, Broiler Chicken, back.
Hey, I think I just came up with a new theme song. Actually, it was so cool. Hey, cool.
We're live on YouTube. That's kind of cool.
Years gone by, actually, it's so funny. We used to have, we had one site, gentlemen, and it's, people are so computer savvy on, in the cryptoverse and stuff like this. This person, I sure hope he's doing well in the world. We haven't seen him around the site in a while, but he created this this cool web page that has all the different sound bites of Brian's crazy antics. He's just gazillions of them. So if someone wants to add that sound bite, maybe we should play that at the beginning of these Broiler Chicken shows. That would be hilarious. Bark, 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 bark. Anyway, hello everyone. Sure hope you're enjoying these free broadcasts. Hope I'm scoring some karma points with the universe. Really trying to help people out here. And doing, Monday to Friday. We got to, try to do it about 20, 25 minutes or so. Just a market overview. And then on the weekend, I like to do these free shows here and really use it as sort of a way to sort of further talk about concepts that the level oneers are going through in the current week, because every single week, of course, is brand new material. Also, try to explain, and I suppose I should have that YouTube page open here. There is Renman140. Oh, I appreciate your prayer of thoughts for me. I hope that's what that means. We pray this is over quickly. I'm just kidding. It's this next year, this 2020. Oh boy. As I was sort of alluding to there just a moment ago, I like to use this video time here, and if I stall, it's because somebody's typed something. So I appreciate the positive karma there too, Cheryl Ann. Really, and actually, I hate to say it. And I'm kind of conflicted right now because I don't know whether it's actually even appropriate for me to talk about this just yet. I need to study it, but I think the universe actually just gave me an absolute gift this morning. Can't believe it. Totally unexpected, and that's the way the universe works. You try and put the positive vibe out there, and then all of a sudden, just out of nowhere, total left field, something just hits you right across the forehead, just bang. And so, like I said, I'm actually a little bit overwhelmed here this morning because I wasn't expecting this, but I think I was just handed an absolute gift here. And I was in the lounge this morning. I was like, "Holy Jesus H Christ!" I couldn't believe it. But the problem is I just sort of discovered this. And now I have to sort of do the back engineering and try to be able to explain it to all you guys. But I'm actually a guy 30 year in the market. You always hear about these quant funds and, chaos theory, and I can use mathematical predictions to predict the market and all that kind of stuff. And it's always sort of like voodoo, right? What the hell are they talking about? And this morning, the universe explained to me exactly what chaos theory is, and now I know exactly how to use it. So I gotta tell you, man. So I don't know. Yeah, maybe yes, maybe no. Yeah, I know. Tell me about it. I'm intrigued myself. I want to. What's the next chapter? I almost want to just go do more research. I'm just absolutely stunned by this. So I've had a pretty cathartic moment. And then this is also a really great commentary on 30 years into this. 30 bloody years. I got my first job in the damn stock market in 1988. I remember people used to say the ground froze and they couldn't
pay for their stock transactions because the ground froze and they buried their money because they don't trust the banks.
I suppose maybe what we're going to do is, that is actually a real story that I actually tell people. So maybe now, maybe in the future it's going to be, I buried my USB device and the ground froze and I can't get to my Bitcoins. I don't know. Who knows? A crazy world. Yeah, I mean, I was so overwhelmed. Actually, somebody just joined the call here. I was so overwhelmed this morning. I was using colorful language, and I knocked this very reserved. Well, not, I wouldn't say he's very reserved, but he's British, so by default, he has to be very polite and very. And he's like, "Whoa, Brian, you got off the deep end this morning." So I'm a little bit giddy here. I'm not even quite sure how to approach all this today. Anyway, like I said, Josh says he was surprised. Thank heavens Colleen wasn't in the lounge when when I went off there, eh? Anyway, now Colleen's going to be like, what the hell did I miss? What did I miss? But I didn't swear, so that's a good thing, right? Everything was polite. Anyway. Yeah, so what can I say? What a weird start to a video. If there are level oneers, I see there's about 20-30 people watching the free YouTube feed. There's about 22 people here in the lounge with me here on the Hangout. If you guys are level oneers, yeah, I think I'm on some sort of 4669 speed. Yeah. So people are like, okay, yeah, you're dead. Let's get back to 50% rule, Brian. Calm down a little bit. But actually, this is really cool. Like I said, I don't know whether I really want to talk about this right now because you sound like an idiot trying to explain something when actually you don't really understand the exact math, and I have to put all the pieces together. But I got to tell you, it was an absolutely mind-blowing experience I had this morning. So I don't know whether I'm going to go into 4669. Everybody, of course, on the site's all like, "Whoa, he's going crazy about this 4669 number." And actually, that's even a hint. So if you want to do some research, what is Brian gotten all excited about? The number is 4.669. So all you mathematicians, you'll understand this probably a little easier than the public, but there's your hint, right? You want a hint, but I'll maybe talk about that later. But what was really cool is that actually this number actually lines up with other levels that I talk to you guys a lot. So in a weird sort of way, it's also validating of other concepts. So you might see that level on my charts. I don't know whether like I said, I don't know whether I'm ready to get into the explaining the math behind it, but if you do see on it, just understand that's Brian's new little toy, Matrix Discovery. Okay, so like I said, level oneers, this is your time. If you have a question following Grimm's class, I thought he did an excellent job today. What were you guys doing? The introduction to technical analysis, so M's and W's, heads and shoulders, triangles, understanding, looking for M's and W's in indicators, and sort of getting your first kind of idea of this idea of divergence when you get M's and W's and big fat indicators like RSI, but price hasn't W'd yet. That tells you a lot about the strength of the market or weakness if it's a bear div. Intermarket analysis. Actually, as years have gone by on this course, I do fully acknowledge that we definitely need to include a module on volatility studies. And it's interesting because Julian and Sjord both absolutely love using Keltner channels. And I know even Sjord likes using Bollinger Band studies on momentum indicators. The module that you guys went through this week, we were primarily concentrated on structure. and trying to really understand that structural idea of price. M's and W's, heads and shoulders, triangles, etc. Also, a brief conversation about indicators. And of course, we need to understand that there are people in the market that hate indicators. But with this idea of divergence, I think we can actually have indicators tell us about the future, which is the number one reason why most traders don't like using indicators, is it's lagging information. And then also we did quite a bit of conversation this week on intermarket analysis, understanding things like the yield curve and using that information to tell us about other markets. The inflation deflation guide. I did see that reference. Somebody had asked. I don't know whether Grim answered the question. I was out of the room when you guys were talking at that point, but whether you guys got a solid understanding of using things like TLTs versus tips to try and tell you what the market's perception of inflation or deflation is. In a weird sort of way, and we are working towards it. Developer cycle, we're still banging away. When this kind of information does update, and I can talk about it on a daily basis, that will be yet another example of intermarket analysis relationships, because I like to use the breadth of the market to actually tell me what the actual sort of state of capitalism is. And interestingly enough, usually the breadth of the market breaks down way, way, way before the indicator, or excuse me, the major indexes. In fact, interestingly enough, what usually happens in the stock market is the indexes themselves actually break last. And that's the sort of the end of the event, and all of the junior stocks had already been broken down. We use things like advanced decline line, number of stocks making new 52-week highs, 52-week lows, those kind of ideas to measure those kind of information. This here is just simply breaking all the sectors down and just doing a simple DI indicator, which is a combination of 45 different indicators on the various sectors and measuring the breadth based on what their reading is. You could, there are, in fact, bullish percentage index, that would be very similar to this. They simply use number of stocks that are giving point and figure buy and sell signals. So point of the matter here is, for level oneers, not only do I want you thinking about structure coming out of this week, I want you thinking about looking for structure in your indicators. We will, of course, later on when we get to the candy store, look at the indicators in detail. But and also thinking about intermarket analysis relationships, and how you can actually use technical analysis from a relationship of assets to help you in the trade management process. So that was the big sort of objective coming out of this week for the level oneers. Also, too, if somebody has a question about it, I can chat about any of the crazy tweets that I've been putting out here recently. Clearly, I unfortunately, Brian, the old man, sometimes, old man yells at Bitcoin. I suppose this would be a great example of old man yells at institution that doesn't give a shit what the hell he thinks. So there is lots of this kind of stuff in my Twitter feed. I do publicly rant. It's like tilting at windmills in a way, but I do want you guys to understand that, when central bankers say these kind of outlandish statements, this is actually not setting up the actual asset itself for success. And, like I remember basically the Euro last crisis around, the pigs nations and all that. What stopped the crisis was Draghi came in and just said, point blank, we will do whatever it takes to stop the slide in the euro. Whatever. I don't care. We are going to do it. And in essence, the euro stopped sliding and the crisis disappeared. So when, and this, like I said in one of my daily rants, I said, when was the last time you heard a lawyer made a good banker? this lady, unfortunately, I think she's going to get educated very, very quickly and very hard by the market about you can't say things like this. You just can't. So you're going to see those kind of crazy rants by Brian. But, in the Twitter feed too, I also try to drop resources that I found really informative so that you can learn from them too. I think I made reference through the week, but I'm not quite sure. I thought I did. To a video interview of Stanley Druckenmiller. And, I'm a huge fan of Mr. Druckenmiller. There he is. I would encourage, I think there's like 1,000 people or something that watch this video, these weekly videos, and that's great. I mean, that just shows that hopefully I'm giving something positive to the universe, and you guys are actually getting some good stuff out of this. So that's awesome. But I'd do yourself a favor and sit down and just listen to Mr. Druckenmiller, because I think the good thing about Stan is there's no bullshit about him, right? It's just, the guy, and that's the funny thing when you actually deal with people that actually manage serious amounts of money, is all the BS just disappears, right? I mean, a good trade is a good trade is a good trade. And I really liked his commentary on how if you actually look at the actual statistical data, like the actual data, we're actually not doing too badly in the world. World poverty rates are falling. Yes, it's imbalanced and you have some ups and downs, but basically, the standard of living of the human species is actually going up. On balance. So, obviously a huge amount of people were lifted out of abject poverty because of China's economic opening up. So, on balance, of course, he's a capitalist, and he wants to encourage that sort of capitalist sort of enthusiasm and environment. So, am I a cheerleader of Mr. Druckenmiller? Absolutely. Is it worth your while just to sit and listen to him? You're probably going to get way better advice from him than you are out of me. But remember, I don't give you guys advice. I just tell you how I can lose money in the market. You want to learn how to lose money like me? Okay, fine. You can join my trades. But anyway, I do like in these Broiler Chicken shows, if you guys have any questions about any of the crazy tweets or rants or anything I put out, this is a public forum. Feel free to ask. I don't have a problem with that. So that's the purpose of this weekend show. Just an FYI. I'm just looking through the chat to see whether we do have any level 1s on here and whether you guys had any questions. Now is your time to step up. You can also ask in the lounge. Oh, I guess I never posted the I'm sorry, Oscar. Did I, is that today's video? I guess I didn't post that. I'm sorry. But thank you for doing that. So if you guys have any questions, now is exactly the time. Except for that one. You're not allowed to ask about that yet. That's funny. All right. Well, no questions. This may be a pretty short episode then. I'll just just give you sort of an overview of what I see happen in the market, and then we'll head on our way. So where should we start with the corn? And I think we had a pretty big level hit here overnight. I put out a tweet recently I thought was so valuable. And sometimes, in trading, actually, it really pays to just sort of step back and wait for sort of bigger, broader signals, and then you can sort of frame your expectations going forward. So, this is a 4-chart deck of some popular cryptocurrencies. I know a lot of people, why did I include XRP in this? I think it was just because I went to Coinbase and picked, they got these funny sites, and this is obviously a floating target. But this is a fun site to go to if you're interested in cryptocurrencies, coin360.com. And I like to have this on here just to give me an idea of where the action is and who's moving up and who's moving down. And really all I did was I just sort of said, okay, I'll take one from this camp. Obviously, he's the biggest player. One from this camp, and then threw Litecoin in there. And I don't know. I thought XRP was in here. Oh, I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy. So I don't really have any affinity or love for Cripple. You know, it is what it is. It's an interesting sort of side commentary. I remember when I first got into this space back in 2013, 2014, there was a guy on TradingView. Anytime we ever talked about Ripple, he'd always say it is the absolute best remittance chain and idea. So the interesting thing is the whole remittance sort of side of XRP is still, I guess, pretty attractive. I don't really like the idea of, you know, the names being pre-mined, and you know, which means what is the value of one of the tokens itself. I have a hard time, and I've had a hard time in crypto with that problem. So I just have, in fact, I can't even see XRP on here. Maybe I should take it off. I don't know. But I just put this tweet out here, just sort of showing that, this is what we call it's inverted, but an empire pattern. It's a fractal where this low is lower than this low. These highs were almost parallel. You can almost kind of see a head and shoulders in all of this. And this fractal pattern, technically the price objective is just simply a replication of this trading range above. And it's actually an extremely simple concept. If this happened to have gapped higher, we would have called that a Joby gap setup, which is basically the same target. And also too, I do like the idea that really this top here, this was a V top. We went straight up, straight down. So at some point, we're gonna have to go up and test these highs. I mean, that's like one of the laws of Toyland. Markets don't really like to V top. If you see a V top or a V top bottom, you should at some point expect those lows or highs to be tested. And really, you could make the argument that's what all of this is, right? That was a V bottom, rally off the lows, test that bottom, and do we turn back up, right? And really, ideally, what we want to see is a V bottom turn into a W, right? Kind of like down, up, down. Breakout's not really the best one. In fact, actually, I don't even really see. I think actually, the one that we saw monthly W's on was like a ETC of all the coins. I'm not quite sure why. But anyway, so I put this tweet out here recently. And so what are my sort of short-term expectations? I think all of these levels could very easily be hit. Don't see any reason why not at all. Interesting, too. Excuse me. If we do things like reload zones off of these lows, back up to the highs, you probably will notice that a lot of these levels are going to line up either with things like 61.8s or 78.6s. If I'm not mistaken, I think on Bitcoin that's like an 88.6. So also, in Bitcoin's case up into the wick, but also notice too, especially on this Cripple, because Cripple hasn't really, it's not holding the lows, and I think that's a function of the supply concerns. Whereas these guys all theoretically have pretty solid supply. I get the impression that the entire crypto space was, how do we say this? I think Bitcoin is wonderful in itself. And actually, I watched this really cool... actually, it's that crazy Crypto Chico guy. Holy Jesus, he's just banging out some serious content, eh? That guy's going to be famous in this space. I tell you. But he did an interesting piece on Elon Musk and sort of his sort of take on crypto. And I mean, the guy's pretty damn smart. You might as well listen to him. I got the impression coming out of that, and of course I think the crypto Chico guy is super enthusiastic about Ethereum. So I got the impression that he was sort of spinning it on that. A Bitcoin can only go so far, I think, in my opinion, and I do like what I'm sort of seeing out of the evolution of Ethereum, and it seems to me the tone that I'm hearing out of these guys is this transition from proof of work to proof of stake is and how do you compensate people, appropriate validating ledgers and stuff under that model. I think that's been sort of the big sort of bugaboo. And I'm getting the impression that they're turning the corner on that. And I think you're seeing it sort of reflected in price action. And, I put out a tweet recently just basically saying that, can't remember where it was. Just say, ultimately what is rational analysis? Rational analysis should be sort of, this is a pretty good fundamental story. These guys are getting really jazzed. They're pretty excited about the future. All right, can we go look at the price action and have we missed the bus? And as long as price is sort of sitting against these lows in the bottom end of range, well, you can identify relatively low risk windows to take shots. So in a weird sort of way, that's the whole point of rational analysis is you really want to find like a good idea. Fundamentally, what's the story? What's the catalyst? And I think it helps that the structure is solid. In the stock market, there's a whole bunch of fun ways that we can identify structure. That's sort of supportive of higher stock prices. I would definitely encourage you. Excuse me. In a equity type environment, I think the number or supply of an issue I think is critical. I do believe that in a commodity space that can be a bit flexible, but I have noticed that if it kind of like Ripple, right? And Tron I think is a good example. How many coins are out on Tron? Doesn't Tron have a bazillion, gazillion, jazillion coins? Good looking price chart, but the metrics are very different. So, and as a result, it's reflected in its price. What the hell is Tron symbol? Isn't it XTM or something like that? Anyway, I'm just sort of blabbing here. Where are we here? Man, Doge. These crazy Doge kids. Oh, God. Gotta love it. Gotta love crypto. Somebody's blinging me? What are you guys blinging me? I have a gazillion of time. And if it's one thing, it just fills me so I'm sorry, Eric just asked a question in the lounge, so that's why I stalled there. TRX, yeah, that's right. But I remember I like watching these little weekly charts. Where the hell's that? Maybe I put it away. I guess I did. Oh no, here it is. I've been sort of squawking about this thing recently. And I guess what I noticed is I get the impression that the altcoin sort of story is really hinged on whether Ethereum is going to work. I get the feeling that the enthusiasm that Ethereum is moving on to sort of like 2.0 kind of version is catching. And then all of a sudden I'm just watching stuff just coming alive right, left, and center. Like that Doge. Is there some great developer activity in Doge right now? I don't know. Does anybody know? I do know that they're going to have another one of these crazy all-night dancing around the cities of Vancouver parties coming up this summer. So my hunch is they're probably going to take the the cryptocurrency up. But I'm almost feeling like it was almost like the whole space was just waiting on Mr. Vitalik here. It just felt like that. And we follow a bunch of cryptocurrency indexes that we put together before these poop perp, bull poop and moon poop and all that kind of stuff. Before they got going, we built alt indexes at TRI, and I've been following these. And what letter of the alphabet do you see here? I mean, the irony and I guess the beauty about technical analysis is there's no bullshit about this, what's really weird is that when you see it come in and then you watch it play out and people are like stunned to actually see that the market rallied off the bottom. That's actually the mystery of that. I think I even heard, and this thing that I learned this morning, another person sort of said this. I mean, this stuff should be taught in grade school. This is sort of the way the universe works. And what's even more powerful, if you ever see this, take a screenshot of this, note this, please, everybody, please, 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 please. Everybody mark it. Oh, and I tell you what, I'm going to tell you this, and what I want to see is whether you guys actually hear me now. How can we get you guys to this? I was pretty impressed. One of these recent ones, well, yeah, I suppose you're right, man. One of these recent videos, I asked you guys to give me some feedback, and I just got like a ton of messages. So that's good. I mean, it does mean that you guys are listening to me. I'm not just talking to myself. There was this one guy on TradingView years ago. He said, Brian, I just love to turn your videos on and go to sleep. I mean, they're great videos to listen to because you're so monotone, you're so boring, and it's just, blad, and I can just go to sleep to it so nicely. Thank you. So I never know who's actually watching this or whether you're getting any value out of this, but anyway. Okay, so here's the secret. Here comes the secret. Secret. Right, everybody? Secret, pay attention. If you see, and especially too, this is at the bottom end of the range, the shit's on its knees, right? I mean, that's definitely a tell in itself, right? You have to, and maybe, it's going to take some time, but, you have to look at price and, where the hell do we do this? Over here. And I'd just be curious, does anybody know what the duration of a typical bear market is? Anybody know? Oh, yeah, I was going to give you the secret. Pause. You're going to have to wait for it. Wait for it. All right, well, that's good. Everybody in the lounge here knows how long. How about on YouTube? Maybe this might be a little extra secret that you guys weren't even expecting me to give you here today. Nope. Good guess, though, Redman. But higher! What is a typical bear market? Just, if we go into a nosedive, and clearly, coming out of 2017 and through probably the second quarter of 2018, it was clear that the market had topped, and we started emming out and all that kind of stuff, lost 38.2s. That's all the technical ease. And actually, you know what? You want to know when? And I was joking with Richard Hart on this on Twitter the other day. You want to know when the bull comes back is when you see Richard Hart jumping up and down and all excited and kicking ass. And then you want to know when the bear market's coming? You just wait for Richard Hart to go on YouTube and have a nice little cry. It's actually really simple. And I was joking with him. I even said, so we'll know if this is really a bull, if you're going apeshit here. And he's not. He's like, not yet. So, and okay, but if anything, it's a good tell. It's kind of like Charlie Lee, right? Same sort of thing. I mean, fuck it. If Charlie's bullish, he even told you, look, I'll buy my Litecoins back at $20-$30. I mean, you might as well listen to the smart money. He told us where the bottom was going to come in. So, I mean, we might as well listen to them. Anyway, okay, where were we? point of the matter here is this damn thing has just been emming. And so we're coming into the end of a move. And I mean, gee whiz, this has just been horrendous, right? Now, I'm not saying whether you should or shouldn't short this M. I mean, traders got to trade. Me personally, at the end of a year, 2-year bear market, I'm not going to be overly excited about going short, and especially since we're way off the highs. But here's sort of the secret. If you see the market come down and M out, and this M validated itself, but then you see the market hold the previous lows and actually turn up and bust through that M, this is a massive market signal. Massive. The irony of it all is, what's the irony of this? To me, because I've been playing this game for so long, it's like, holy fuck, you're right. It's the secret. It's right there. And yet, probably most people looking at that will go, that's a secret. Let's come back. Maybe, YouTube will have this challenge. Let's come back and look at where price is. Say, I don't know, middle of July, middle of August, or over here. That is an incredibly powerful signal. Something very significant just happened in the market here. Gotta tell you guys, take a screenshot of that. And, level 3ers at TRI, I don't really like to introduce harmonic trading to beginners because I really think it's super important that you sort of learn the mechanics of what a good trade actually looks like. But like I said, level 3, we start getting into harmonic trade setups. You're probably going to see that kind of harmonic reference. And this one's, in fact, actually, we could even go as far as 1.13 on this one. So, when we start coming into kind of like this kind of image, and then I start seeing like these little W's and stuff start to perk up here, holy shit. Again, I mean, this is monstrously huge. And what was interesting too is, there's this guy on this on our site, and he's slightly interested in planetary relationships. And he said, well, Brian, there's actually this funny little thing that's happening in the universe right here. And I mean, it was basically the change, and I'm just using this particular index. We could do this off Bitcoin. We could do it off of those shit perp indexes. It doesn't really matter. But I got to tell you, folks, 30 years in the business, I don't think I've seen such an articulated, such a well-defined, just the most... I could literally feel everything changed right here. I mean, it was quite shocking. The whole damn market, everything shifted right on that damn Pluto Saturn cross. Everything changed. I mean, absolutely shocking. So that's an extremely powerful image there. Anyway, kind of cool. I mean, this just happens to be off some index that we created of a bunch of altcoins on Binance, but you see it right across the market. This is a Trex alt index. We have site members who do some serious fundamental analysis. And if anything, this is a great analogy that just because you have a good fundamental idea that's solid, that's based on good metrics and stuff, the market doesn't give a shit. And that's a hard lesson for a lot of new people to trading to learn. A lot of good fundamentalists, they'll sit on an idea and wait and wait and wait and wait and wait and wait and wait. and at some point the market will validate them, and their asset will be bid up, and then it will no longer be at a discount, and they'll be taking profits. But I thought this is kind of a funny analogy in that you can see that names that maybe don't have the best fundamentals are rallying, creating W's in broader indexes. But, like vetted fundamental screeners, they're just starting to wake up now. So it's an interesting anecdote on fundamentals. And I think they always say, right, the market can remain illogical far longer than we can remain solvent. And if anything, these poop indexes are probably exactly what's sort of dominating this kind of landscape. I mean, look at that. I don't know. And, this is not a bad example, right? In fact, I always like to make reference to LBR, Linda Bradford-Radsky, when I'm talking to students. And I asked her one day, I said, if you got an idea, you're at a location, and you're like trying to get into a trade, how many tries do you give on an idea before you say, that's it? Obviously, I was wrong, so I'll give up. And she said 2. So, I don't take that from me. Take that from LBR. And if you want to PM her and say, hey, this crazy guy on the internet says that you should give ideas 2 shots. What do you agree? What do you say? I hope she doesn't change her story, but that's what she told me. And I think this is probably a really good example of, I mean, she's so down to earth. I really, like LBR is exactly like Druckenmiller. And if you fancy yourself a fancy schmancy trader, I want to be, Captain Capitalist and trader. Those are the kind of people that you should try and emulate. And you notice, Linda, she was like the secretary, and the reason why she took the job, she said, was for the Chartered Market Technicians Association. She was a secretary and had to do all the crappy sort of, monthly newsletter work and all that kind of stuff. But she said she took the job so she could have access to their library, and they had like stock charts going back to the 1870s and stuff. So really, really down to earth people. And this is one reason why I really like that Top Step Trader firm. I have popped on over to the morning shows. I know a couple TRIers are regulars there. It's great to see you guys on a regular basis. John Hoagland. I often make reference to the Hoag. Exactly the same type of person. And, this guy's 35-year flower veteran, runs his own prop firm, obviously doing pretty well. But they have this same sort of, I don't know what it is about them. They have this calm confidence. They're good people. You might even argue, you listen to me, I'm a little bit off the handle every once in a while, right? I'm still getting over my wife passing away. I don't know whether I'm the best role model for you guys. I would definitely say those people. To that list, I would say that would be a really good mentor list for you guys. Johnny Hoagland from Top Step, and Eddie. You got to throw Eddie in his back pocket. Get to know Eddie. And these guys, they have free stuff on the net and stuff. These guys are like 30, 40-year veterans, right? I mean, these guys are solid people. Mr. Druckenmiller, obviously you're not going to get to talk to him, but I would listen to what he has to say. And Linda's just, what I love about her, she's just she's so real. So anyway, I'm not quite sure how I got off on that tangent. But, so the reason why I mentioned that was, here's a good example where you might look at this and say, well, there's a W, and that Beamish guy says buy this, and I bought it, and then all of a sudden, Jesus Christ, I want call my lawyer. I want my money back. Well, like we said, no, I have yet to meet anybody who has a trade setup that, through all different market stakes works more than, say, 80% of the time. If you could have a setup that worked in ranging and trending markets and back and forth, 80% of the time, I would say you walked on water. Here's a good example where the W didn't work the first time, but if you just sort of were tenacious and just kept at your guns, the second W worked quite well. This is a great analogy of a trader's life. And I think I tried to show this on the free video that I did Friday. Here's a good example where, you could be batting 50%, right? And the bet sizes are equal. And in this particular case, you're only right 50% of the time. But you tell me, right? This is your loser. Loser. You're a loser, baby. Get the fuck out of the market. Boom! Don't take your results from your trading personally. It's nothing against you, right? It's just that the setup didn't work. Next bus in 10 minutes. And then the next setup you take, woohoo, look at me, I'm a genius. These two boxes, this is the secret to this whole damn thing right there. Those two boxes. Can you understand what it is I'm trying to show you? I don't know, YouTubers. There's 85 of you watching. Can you understand what it is I'm trying to show you? Why that's the secret? Do you understand? Anyone? I don't know. Sure hope so. I didn't see a... Oh, there's somebody. Somebody says it. Exactly. All right. I sure hope so. Bueller. That's right. But I have to do it in a British accent because you're here. So how do you do that? I don't know. I'm not even going to try. Anyway, good. Well, yeah, the big thing here is, it's ironically enough, it's all about money management. It's all about understanding you're not going to be right, and you have to respect the fact that when you're wrong, and you have to just, okay, I was wrong, get out, right? And keep focus. And ideally, you want this box to be, I encourage my students, brand new people to trading, that this box should be at least twice the size of this box. And if you can try and get into that kind of habit, even if you're only right like 50% of the time, you don't really have a choice. You have to be profitable. If you can actually make, so that's that level there. If you can actually make this trade produce substantially more than that, then being right only 50% of the time, you actually make a hell of a lot of money. And I don't know whether you guys on the let's do a quiz. You people over on the YouTube page, I think all you guys in the lounge probably already know this, but you know, like a guy who's like a pit trader, and just tagged a new high, gotta sell. Just tagged a new low, gotta buy. Opening bell trade, ding ding ding. Okay, market ticked up through the highs of the previous 5-minute bar, prior to the open. Boom, gotta buy. All right, we reversed, broke the lows of that range. Boom, gotta sell. Just out of curiosity, what do you think? And this might be a good feedback. I don't know whether this text box shows later on when people watch this, but you know, you yourself answer that question, and then let's see what people actually say in the text box. But on average, those, and the pit doesn't even really exist anymore, but those pit traders, what kind of percentage accuracy are they actually looking for? Does anybody know? Typical pit trader? Yeah, I know, but you're in the lounge here, so if anything, you know, you guys in the lounge, I would expect you guys to know this answer, but I'm just curious if people on YouTube, whether they even have an idea. Okay, good. All right. So, you know, as you were watching and you were thinking about that number in your head, you can start seeing the 33%. I sure hope it's better than that. You can get an idea of kind of what the numbers people are thinking, right? And there's even a person going, I just don't know. But it turns out that a typical pit trader, they shoot for 55% accuracy. They just want that little edge. That means they're getting stopped out almost half of the trades that they do. Almost, not quite, but almost. And that's a reality. I don't think a lot of people in the public really understand about professional traders. I think we can do a little better than that, right? That's sort of my kind of thinking. I think, you know, with location, divergence, structure, realistic profit objectives, forcing ourselves to only consider trades that are at least 2-to-1 risk reward kind of stuff, I think we can get that number up into the 60-70% area. If you can hit that kind of number, then you're laughing. And I do see that the professionals on our site, there's about a half a dozen of them running around right now. I see them day in, day out, hunting the setups, very specific, and they are just owning this market. our level 1 instructor just killed the market shorting the stock market. How many of you guys on YouTube were short the stock market? And this son of a gun just said, hey, just trade my setup. So the market told me to go short, so I shorted. You know? I don't know what the fuck a coronavirus is, but I do know what an M is.